is called a backstitch. So this was the running stitch. I'm going to start the backstitch right next to it. And the backstitch, we're going to, again, come up from the back side of the fabric. Okay, and I'm going to pull my thread all the way through so that knot is nice and flush. And then I'm going to go about 1 stitch length away and go back down to the wrong side of the fabric. So right now it's starting off very similar to the running stitch. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to come up 1 stitch length away, okay, and pull our thread through. So this time, instead of going forward, right, so that's what we would do with the running stitch, we would go in here, we're going to go backwards. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to put our needle right in where that last stitch ended. Okay, so I'm going to go right in here like that. Okay, so now I'm going to put my needle all the way through to the back side of my fabric, and I'm going to pull it tight, and that's the back stitch. So you can see the back stitch creates a nice solid line. This is a very strong stitch, so if you didn't have a sewing machine at home and you wanted to make something, you could actually sew a whole garment if you knew how to do the back stitch. Okay, so again, I'm going to come up 1 stitch length away, pull my thread through, and then I'm going to go back down. You're going to go back down right where that last stitch ended. And so with this stitch, your goal is that there's no space between your stitches. It just looks like a nice solid line. So if you are using this to sew a garment, it will be nice and strong. If you're using this for decoration, like a lot of people use this on stuffies to make eyebrows or a mouth, it just creates like a nice line. I use this on my stuffy to sew all my little applique pieces on, and if you're making a pin cushion, you can use this to sew your applique on as well. Okay, there's my last stitch. Okay, and then like the other one, I'm going to show you how to tie a knot, and I also want to show you the stitches on the back side. So on the front side, you can see my stitches are mostly the same length, right? We always want them to be the same length. They are right up against each other, and the line is pretty straight. So if I was doing a curve, again, you just want to make sure it's nice and smooth. If you're doing straight, you want it to be nice and straight. If you're sewing something onto like a piece of applique onto another piece of fabric, you just want to make sure that your stitch, the distance between your stitches, and say this was the edge of the fabric, you just want to make sure that's nice and even. Okay, so on the back side, the stitches actually look pretty odd. So you can see they kind of overlap each other and look almost twisted. So you just, that's the back side. That's why you always want to make sure you're doing things on the right side or to the right side, because the back side of the stitches don't always look just like the front. Like with the running stitch, it sort of did look the same, but with this one, you definitely have a front of the stitch and a back of the stitch. Okay, so to tie a knot, I'm just going to grab that last stitch I did again. Okay, I'm going to pull my thread until I have a little loop. I'm going to put my needle through the loop, and then I'm going to pull it tight. And you're going to do that 2 or 3 times just to make sure it's nice and secure. Okay, and then I'm going to trim my thread. When you're trimming your thread, I almost went like this, and that would cut off the knot. You just want to trim the little extra a little bit.